You are listening to the Kentucky X-Files Season 3 with your hosts Dennis Mays, Tyler Stewart, and Josh Gibbs. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also visit us at www.kyxfiles.com. And now, on to our show.
Welcome back, guys, to your Kentucky X-Files.
No.
No?
Do it again.
No. That's
Do it again.
Best part of waking up.
X-Files in your cup.
Shout out to Cha.
That's my fault for taking a drink during the intro.
That's so good. That was a really dry opening, guys. We don't sound cheerful.
I'm stretching. Oh, I lost my arms. Oh, my bad. So yeah, we are. I guess like since we've been in this little chat thing for a bit, talking, kind of getting game plan. Guess we're talking about the lost city of Atlantis.
Ah!
Oh, okay. I guess it was a delayed reaction. He had to get a sip of his coffee in him.
Well, yeah. Was that the donut shop coffee that I recommended?
Yeah.
Nice.
Shit's so good.
I told you.
Yeah, man.
I'm an
2
expert.
cups in, going on 5.
I'm a fucking expert and tastes good.
It's a good one. I like it a lot.
Oh, donut shop? Oh, my company sells that stuff.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours after you told me about it. I was out with the wife getting our groceries, and I looked down and I seen donut shop, and I'm like, this is a sign.
Yeah.
Josh literally just told me that this stuff was real, and it just became real.
Right? I literally told you it existed, and then you saw it at a grocery store.
Now, did it exist before you told me?
Well, yeah, because I tried it. But did it exist before I tried it?
Did it exist before you? Yeah.
Yeah, because my company sells it.
Yeah, but I had it long before you worked there.
Yeah, I guess.
I drank it like 11 years ago.
I don't know the math on this, but I feel like it's magical. It's really good. I really like it. Yeah, I can't stop. I can't keep my cup down. I keep grabbing my cup because
the best part is it's generic coffee. Like, it's not a name brand. It just says donut shop.
Donut shop.
There's a picture of a Simpsons type donut on the box, right?
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, this kind of correlates into what we're about to talk about, because the city of Atlantis wasn't talked about until the Greek philosopher Plato mentioned it in some of his dialogues, and it's called the Timus and Cratus.
Timus and Cratus.
I'm glad you guys went for that one, because I was like, I can't say that. I don't know how to say that.
Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, these are two of his one of his like writings that he depicts.
Or now
Timaeus and
characters is Timaeus and what is it?
Crataeus.
Is that them? Or I mean,
no, it's I don't know if it's based around that, but these are the first like books, or I guess dialects or dialogues or so whatever.
You notice the dude on the left is like, "What up?
What's up?"
The other dude's like, "Simmer down a little bit, bro.
Chill, bro.
You're embarrassing us.
I'm just carrying a book. It's not a pizza."
But that was more than 2,300 years ago.
Jesus.
He depicts Plato, according to Plato, Atlantis is an island kingdom existing 9,000 years before him, and then mysteriously disappeared.
So yeah, the whole ancient city. I mean, barring the Atlantis. What do we call it? Do we still call it a myth, or is it a theory now? Like, how does
I
this one
want to
fall?
say it's still like even to this day, like there was even because Plato opened up like one of like kind of I guess they said that it was the first academies, basically a university, if you will. And some of his like I guess you would say pupils and people that learned from Plato. I can't remember one of them. Thought it was more of a just his way to explain philosophy to one, like it was fake, but it was a way to describe philosophy to somebody in that sense. But there was
So they're
other
saying he was using
students,
it metaphorically.
yeah, metaphorically, to for the study of philosophy. But some other of his students believed in the actual story of Atlantis. He depicted as it being the like to the west of the Gibraltar, the Strait of Gibraltar, or you would say the Pillars of Hercules. I have a picture on that right
Let's
here.
say, do we have a map of that area? That was one
Um,
thing that I was trying to find, and I was having yet again keyboard
problems.
trouble. Yeah.
I could.
Keep talking. I'll find a map.
Okay, well, okay. But yeah, this is where he depicts it in his writing, but to this day, because but a lot of like but multiple people kept saying like there's been like remnants of the like this lost civilization in other places like Antarctica, Spain, I guess around the Caribbean. I think they said um Africa, like off the coast of Africa. Um, but it was mainly him saying that it was in the Mediterranean Sea. Um, and okay, and they said that the size of the city actually was bigger than uh shoot, what the heck was it called? Libya and uh Asia
Here,
combined.
here's your map of that area and the time.
Hmm.
According to Herodotus, and Atlantis is over here. This would be North Africa. All right. And then this is Italy. So like over in here is Samaria. This would be the Mediterranean Sea. All right.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you an idea like of where they thought it was back then. And I'll try to get.
So, but Plato kind of goes along like long and set like what's bases around the city is like a utopia. It was a great military and naval powered city. How did it was made of centrical island spired by wide moats connecting the canals that reach the center. The island was rich with metals and minerals like gold, silver, and supported exotic wildlife.
There's the concentric rings he's talking about. This is the artist depiction of the map of
Yeah.
Atlantis.
I think I have another kind of a more of a simplistic idea of it. It shows all the like how it was designed. But be perfectly honest, like how do you feel like? Do you feel like this would have been the best way for a like to? Oh, I muted myself. My bad. Uh, best way for a military standpoint, like having these centrical rings.
Can I see that picture again?
Which one, the artist one or the other one?
The rings.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if these rings are the blue rings, I take it are filled with water.
Yeah, it says water right there, and then the yellow ones are land.
Okay, so this. Okay, so this is a battle theorem from a long ass time ago, because the idea is that there is staggered bridges, right? So say your first bridge is down here at 6 o'clock, right? So what you do is you put your next bridge at on the next ring. The next bridge would be say 9 o'clock or 12 o'clock. So if a land force enters, they have to travel that whole path, being maybe being harassed. I don't know if they were using bow and arrow or spears or what, but it basically would keep an attacking force from being able to get any kind of momentum. Like you have to stop them, and then you have to funnel them onto a smaller bridge to try to cut basically the width of their army down. So the idea of it is, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, not only that, and if they don't do it that way, then if they're attacking via water, then every time they hit land, they have to pick up the boat, carry it across the land, put it back in the water, and go across.
I could think of a lot of different ancient cities that would have loved to have a setup similar to this, and I can think of one that actually did have a very similar setup to this that was very successful and still around today. That would be Paris, France.
Yeah,
they were harassed for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? By different cultures. One specific would be the Norse, and the idea that the Norse had to carry their boats over land to get around defenses that they'd built severely slowed their armies down.
Yeah. So we're saying then that this depiction here probably isn't accurate with the multiple bridges in line.
Yeah, I wouldn't build a city like that.
That you would take this first bridge in, and then you would have to travel around this road so many degrees around the circle to make it into the next piece, then travel that. And every time, like you said, you get a bottleneck. Well, if you have 1,000 soldiers on a bridge bottleneck, you're only 10 soldiers wide. It doesn't take much to drop 10 soldiers at a time at that point.
Yep.
You could fight them off with a 30-man army.
Yeah, the defenders' fatigue would be way lower than the attackers.
And that kind of lends a hand to in the story of 300. It wasn't that the same
Thermopylae,
way that they the battle. It was a battle of Thermopylae.
Yep, the Battle of Thermopylae.
Yeah, where the army was crazy. Like, what was it? What was his name? What was his armory?
It wasn't Darius. It was his son. It was Xerxes. Yeah.
Yeah, his army would rivaled the whole land, and but the way that the Spartans led them through this channel gave them kind of a fighting foot, and I guess later that they had that the naval, that was never depicted in the movies, that there was an actual naval battle coming to their aid.
In the Frank Miller's movie is awesome because it's done really well, but on accuracy wise, the naval battle that happened beside Thermopylae was just as important as what happened at Thermopylae, because the naval battle, they took a lot of those numbers down before they ever hit land. And then also too, it wasn't exactly 300, it was more like 1700. It was only 300 actual Spartans, but they had a lot of what do you call it, Arcadians and Greek people who were supporting the cause. But the idea is sound. You funnel the enemy down to where they're more manageable, and you can use less people to defend. And if this if these pictures are accurate, which, like, looking at that one, I could almost get behind that one a little bit more if some of these bridges weren't there.
Well, and the other
Yeah.
thing too is you're seeing that from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
If you were an attacker on the ground, you wouldn't be able to tell which of those bridges actually made it to the city center.
Yeah. You would have had to send people. You would have had to send people over, years to memorize the layout of the city to even get an attack together for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that would be a
Fascinating,
huge
Yeah.
reconnaissance mission.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think they said that I couldn't find anything on this, but I might be wrong, but the size of it, they said it was about 345 miles. And I think they said in diameter. Might be wrong on that though. Can't remember where it said it, or I guess either width-wise it was 345 miles long.
Huh. I wonder about that. I mean, we're talking. Are we talking? It was a like a physical island, or are we? I mean, that's the thing I'm confused about. 300 miles.
Uh,
That's a much bigger island than I was expecting to sink into the ocean.
Yeah, but I can't remember. Like they said it was an island, but then on top of it, they're saying that it was something else. This, that, and the other thing. Like because the location changed so much. It's like I said, like there's some people say that it's in the Antarctic,
Right. Well,
in
and
Spain.
the other issue too is we're talking translational issues. So the word that translated to island that they used from Plato's writings didn't just mean a chunk of land floating in the water. It also meant like peninsulas and things like that. There was a lot of other landmass and adjacent to water meaning that came out of that one word. So I don't know. There's also the side of the theory where people don't think of it as an island at all, and more like it was an inland piece that had water surrounding it, so it wasn't out floating in the ocean. And the reason that there's credit to that is that there's a lot of talk about it being a trading commerce city, that it was alive, it would never slept. It was kind of like how they describe New York or something.
That would lend credence to the advanced technology thing too, because
Yeah.
if it was a world hub, then you've
Yeah.
got all of the finest things from all over the world that they knew of coming
Right.
to this one place to trade. So it would probably seem super advanced.
And it doesn't make
I-
sense to make that in the middle of the ocean, because
Yeah.
then only your seafaring countries, your seafaring civilizations would be able to make it there
Yeah.
that had big enough ships. If it was something like the artist depiction here, where it shows land around it on the outside, around the perimeter, and if it was inland somewhere and it was built in a lake, say, that makes a lot more sense, because then you've got, even, civilizations that don't have seafaring vessels that can come and do trading.
So the practicality of that with the bridges, it makes sense
Yeah.
if it's connected to land like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
To lend a hand on this, the wealth of this place was crazy because, like I said, that it was rich in minerals and metals like gold, silver, and
Dollar
like
Generals.
diamonds. Yeah, Dollar Generals. But what I was saying is that they said it was so abundant that diamonds were so abundant there that they were used as toys.
Well, yeah, diamonds. I mean, we know now today that diamonds aren't. I mean, they're not that rare anyway. It's
Right.
just the supply is choked.
And that also leads credence to the fact that it would have been inland somewhere in Africa.
Absolutely, yeah. This is interesting. This is getting interesting.
I had some more.
This is why I didn't research any of the stuff that you guys did, because I wanted to hear,
Well,
what you guys found. This is pretty fascinating.
Right now I'm going off of what a lot of people have said. Like I'm going more to the, I guess you would say the mythic, or mythology. I can't freaking say it. My bad.
Mythology.
More of the mythology of the whole thing. Like it said that Atlantis fell because it got greedy and immoral, and that's why the gods were angered, and they sent fire, night of fire, earthquakes, and led the city to drown, uh, and basically lost forever. But there was one person that said that, just like we've said this a lot of times on any kind of like ancient uh um text or mythic stuff that's been passed down from generation to generation, it's like telephone. Like you'll embellish something, you'll tweak it to sound more cool or whatnot. It doesn't matter. But some people say I can't remember what it was called. Give me a second. The Black Sea deluge.
Yeah.
It was like a big storm that like it it caused a lot of damage over the like the span of the uh like time and stuff. So I feel like that was probably what happened, because it was like just basically kind of depicted the same way as the flooding in uh the Moses
Yeah.
like the ark and stuff. They send the great flood to basically cast out all the sinners and deviants. So I feel like it like these kind of like things that happen over time, like the world is changing and these events happen, and then they link it to more of a uh mythologic. Oh my god, somebody's going to have to start talking after me because I suck.
So
So-
there's a lot of ancient civilization that depicts a great flood story, or at least a cataclysmic
Mhm.
event. And the one you spoke of about Noah in the Bible and all that, the parallels to that and the story of Gilgamesh are really, really close. And
Is that the guy
uh,
from the Smurfs?
that's Gargamel.
Oh,
This is Gilgamesh, the lion hugger. All right. He was a Sumerian king, right? And Samaria is also on the Mesopotamian areas. You know, he's on the Mediterranean Sea, which is, you know, all these ancient stories that come around from that circle of life over there. You know, North Africa, Western Asia, Southern Europe. All these stories all depict a flood. You know, they all have flood-based cataclysmic events. Um, so there's actually, and I wish I would have found the pictures. I can't find them yet. If anybody wants to dig for this, that'd be great. If you look at North Africa from Google Earth, there are striations that go from the Mediterranean Sea towards where Sumeria and Mesopotamia and all that, Babylon, and they go down towards the Atlantic Ocean, past the eye of the Sahara, that indicate, and it's that there was an enormous flood that occurred there and may have wiped out civilizations in that part of the world.
are you talking about like near what was that called? Trying to name Matara. It's on the western side of Africa, northwest, where
Um,
basically the Eye of Sahara is.
so it goes right past that.
Okay.
What do we know could cause a flood like that fast?
Tsunami,
I could think of one thing. I mean, what would cause a tsunami?
volcano.
Volcano, earthquake,
Yep.
Mhm.
comet,
And that's what
meteor.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to throw this up here because since we're starting to talk about the Eye of Sahara, that is like one of the newer kind of depictions on it could be the lost city of Atlantis. Like it finally coming because uh, it, no one really like kind of lent cadence to it. So like here, this is a satellite image of the Eye of Sahara. Eye of Sahara. This actually was kind of color graded to kind of show the different sizes of the rings,
It's gorgeous
but
too, by the way. It's
they
fucking
said that
absolutely
it
beautiful.
actually coincides or something with Plato's depiction and the size of like basically the city that he said it was, like the inner ring, the outer, like the middle ring and the outer rings. um but I think we like I've said this before with you guys that there's ruins all over the ocean floor, like lost like cities and structures are still to this day are being found under the sea, and that's been like time and time again being under a tremendous amount of pressure and water just being drugged across it. Like, why is this, if this was the case, this was the place, this is Atlantis, why is there no such thing, any structures, like nothing depicting that it could be Atlantis? Like, because
Yeah.
like I was saying, it's like there's structures under the sea right now that you could definitely tell where they came from, what basically where, what was their, like what happened to it. You could still give like actual features like statues, city structures, city steps. Like that's what I'm saying is like what makes this uh what caused this to basically wash away the whole city if this is uh Atlantis.
Yeah.
This
It's pretty wild.
I had something that actually the Eye of Sahara was first discovered in 1965 by NASA astronauts on the board of the Gemini 4 mission. They were looking for possible impact craters from meteors. So some people think it's the Eye of Sahara was caused from erosion over time from an impact crater that was caused the rings to show up, but it actually been said that it's not. It couldn't be it, like it might not be a meteor crater, an impact crater, because uh the lack of minerals found from the shock met, metaformis, which is the surrounding rock deforming from the severe heat and pressure from an impact velocity or high impact velocity. So yeah, that's why they say that it might not be a impact crater. So then it goes to show, like, what is it? What's caused
I, I
these
see here
forms?
where somebody was saying that it could possibly have been a mine, but apparently it doesn't. It's more in line with a mine from modern times. It's not really. It doesn't really. What do you call it? It doesn't hold up in regards to an ancient mine. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's pretty neat. I'm ashamed to say that I had no idea the Aya Sahara was actually a thing.
I didn't
Like I'm
either.
I'm completely like ashamed here. Like I'm looking at it like just
This
mind blown. Like this is incredible.
So
this was one.
I sent you pictures in the bearded chat. If somebody could throw them into
I grabbed them and threw them in already.
okay. They're if you let's see here. This is where I wanted to talk about. So
This
if you
This one?
Yes. So both of them actually. If you look at the zoomed in one there, so you see the striations that kind of go from the top right to the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
And that's the coast. That's indicative of large amounts of soil, rocks, trees, debris being
Mhm.
drug. I mean, I know
Yeah.
I'm not a geologist, but if you zoom out on these and on Google Earth, the top right hand side of the corner is the Mediterranean Sea, and the bottom left is the Atlantic Ocean. And the Eye of Sahara is about in the middle of that dark spot, which is pretty wild. I'm trying to find it on Google Earth here.
I mean, is it so crazy to think that this place might have been really there? I mean, truthfully, with everything that we're learning now, I mean, they're finding artifacts that are predating known civilizations by like thousands upon thousands of years now.
Right.
And it's not just like, oh, we found some dude's shoe or a knife. I mean, they're like, yeah, we found like an entire city block that shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be that old.
So I'm about to drop some knowledge that I don't know if either one of you guys are aware of this while we're talking about the Eye of the Sahara or Sahara, however you want to pronounce it. Are you guys familiar with the term antipode?
No.
How about you, Tyler?
What?
Are you familiar with the term antipode? Do you know what an
No.
antipode is? Okay. So an antipode is a point on the globe and its counterpart. All right. So like north-south pole are antipodes. So anywhere on the globe, its antipode is a straight line through the core to the other side. All right.
Okay.
And it's I believe it's a theory in science that anything cataclysmic that happens on one side could affect the other side as well. All right. Which is mind-blowing. But I'm about to make it even crazier. Do you know what the antipode of the Eye of the Sahara is?
What?
It's a place called Zealandia. It's a sunken city off the coast of New Zealand.
What? Really?
Yes.
So the okay, that's a little that's a bit of a mind fuck. Okay,
Right.
so the Eye of Sahara is our like number one candidate for possibly being Atlantis,
Right.
and it's directly in line with this other just happens to be a sunken city.
That we know of. We know for a fact it exists. It's off the coast of New Zealand.
I was to the Eye of Sahara. I was just I wanted to throw this out because I forgot to mention this. You see the white spot like in the middle
Yeah.
of this picture. Apparently, these are salt pockets, which indicates that there was at one time that ocean water flew over the area in the least the last 12,000 years.
Right.
So I just
Wow.
because it shows that was once, at least once underwater at one point in time. Well, salt water was there at one point in time, and they did depict that it was the river, I guess the rivers around it, like the rings, the moats. It was salt water and fresh water too. So maybe this could be the area where they to make this grand like hub where there was just multiple civilizations that would come in here and trade. Like they had a channel from the ocean, they made their land mass around a lake, fresh body of lake, water of lake or lake water, like how Gibbs was saying. So I was like, hey, I don't know. Like this, it's it's not really depicted how Plato said it. He said it was to the west of the Pillars of Hercules, and I think that's more southwest. But do you really want to
Well, okay, so
cut them off because of just that?
Okay, so I actually did a little little digging on that myself, and I'm going to see if I can save this image here and put it in. And there's a reason why that may be an issue. If I can get this to come up fast enough, man, I tell you what, we're getting good at this shit. All right, so right here, okay. If you look to the left-hand side of the screen there, you see the 2 points of land that come together?
Yeah.
That's the pillars you're talking about, all right? Now, if you travel west in a ship, you're going to go down the coast of Africa, not into the Atlantic. And the reason why is you didn't have seafaring vessels good enough to actually get into the Atlantic Ocean. So traveling west would have you circling the Horn of Africa, not the Horn of Africa, but the top side of Africa, right?
Yeah.
So if you're traveling west along the coast, you are going to come directly in front of the Eye of the Sahara.
So if
Yeah.
you traveled west, you would reach Atlantis.
Correct.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, like, yeah, you would navigate a bit, but plus two, we also have to take into account the time people were living in.
Right.
When they go, okay, this is west, so we'll just keep land to our left here, and we'll watch these landmarks and we'll follow it west. I doubt they were firing up their GPS, you know what I mean, or Google Maps at the time. I mean, unless Atlantis was just way ahead of its time. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they were using navigation from like stars and landmarks. And I have to wonder, like, if they said west, maybe the translation is off a little bit. Maybe he meant westish.
Westish.
You know what I mean? You know how like you could tell somebody, you're like, hey, hey, where's this at? It's like leftish, just like, kind of hang to your left a little bit as you go down there, and you're like, okay, hang to my left a little bit, and I should see it.
Right. I wish you guys could see my cursor, but there you go. There, the circle right there, the dreaded red circle for us, is the Eye of the Sahara, and the very almost dead center in the top is. Did you say Bigfoot?
Well, I wanted to be, make it clear so nobody gets too excited that Bigfoot is not being indicated in that red circle,
right?
Or Dogman,
right? So if you look at the top, there's your rock, your Herculean structures, Strait of Gibraltar, and if you travel west by southwest, it puts you directly in front of that circle if you follow the coast. And you can actually see on this map, do you see, like, basically coming from the Mediterranean Sea, you can almost see where the water flowed and went out to the ocean from the striations that I was talking about. It's so crazy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If it's not real, there is a lot of really cool stuff that makes it seem real. Yeah. Regardless. And my question is, what really happened?
Yeah.
I hate to say, like, I feel like in every story it was really embellished. Maybe it was like a decent trading hub, but it wasn't like a very advanced civilization. They added the whole, because I can't remember the name of the woman, but apparently Poseidon wedded a woman there, and they had, I think they said 5 sets of twins sons. And
very
the
fertile
couple
right there.
Yeah, the eldest of the sons was King Atlas, and he was the ruler of Atlantis.
Could we like propose a scenario, like suspend disbelief, use a little imagination here, and say that, okay, there was this city, this trade hub, right? This just place that everybody around knew. And for a moment, I would imagine that there's probably large amounts of food, grains, I would say alcohol, even probably. And there would probably even be a way that they were moving fresh water, into it for people.
Right.
Anything from fuel for furnaces, fires. I mean, just imagine all this stuff, and it was probably successful for quite a good while. Unbelievably so. I imagine that the people who lived there were probably like, I can't even believe this is real. Is this what life can be? This is great,
Right.
And then imagine somewhere out in the ocean, a meteor hits. They hear the boom. They might have even seen it. They could have even seen it go over. Boom, it hits the ocean, causing a cataclysm of things. Okay? And it doesn't have to be a meteor. It could be anything. Underwater volcano, anything. A big ass storm. For the first time, this magnificent city that's way ahead of its time gets a very real thing. Very similar to what New Orleans experienced in Hurricane Katrina. But the difference being is that now with Hurricane Katrina, we have a whole country that's sending support, people, personnel, supplies, first aid, you name it. Pop-up shelters, everything, medical people, professionals, everybody's flooding to this area to try to help. Now imagine an ancient city that's never been through that before. So if you would say to me like, hey, look, they experienced this massive flood and it wiped the city out, I would say, well, you're fucking right, it wiped their city out. It would have ruined the food supply, it would have ruined the water supply, and there would have been way too many people to try to support. You were talking mold, sickness. I could imagine like pests, rats, things like that. I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, aside from just drowning, and then you have to think that the structure itself, was it built to handle that much water coming in at once? And how would they've known that? How would they've had the expertise to know this city will withstand a tsunami? There would have been nobody around that would have been an expert in that field. So for me, if I had to find a hill to die on, as you say so elegantly, Gibbs, I could say that I could think that this could be a real thing. It could have been a real place that was hit by an unfortunate circumstance that at the time they were not equipped to deal with.
Right.
So yeah, that was my scenario for, the end of Atlantis.
Right. So I've got one more thing that I want to point out. And there, along with all of these other countries or civilizations, rather, that describe cataclysmic events, the Aztec are among those. And the Aztec capital was supposed to be designed after the cradle of life for them that, was wiped out by a flood, right? So I'm going to show you Tenochtitlan, Mexico. This is the Aztec capital, right? Now I'm going to show you the Sumerian capital.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Right? Now I'm going to show you Aztec capital and Sumerian capital.
Yep.
Right? And Tenochtitlan was surrounded by water with mountains in the distance. Another thing that Atlantis had talked about, or that Plato had talked about when he described Atlantis.
So do you think these people could have all been from a similar origin? Like how would they have gathered this tale? You know what I mean?
Right. So that's the thing that I don't understand is the connection for that part. But the Sumerian city, that is Gilgamesh, King Gilgamesh. That's the original epic flood story, you know,
Yeah.
where he built a barge and put livestock and people on it and saved them when the flood happened, right? It's just really peculiar to me how similar you've got this over here going on, and then structures and cities designed that are almost identical over
Yeah.
here. You know, it's
It's
fucking
wild, man. Especially like I said earlier, with the now understanding that there were cities before we thought there were cities.
Right.
Now it's kind of like, I mean, I can't help but think this way. I'm like, maybe we don't fucking know exactly what's going on, because every year they're finding shit and they're like, oh yeah, we found this, we found ruins here that are like 10,000 years older than those. We thought those were the old ones.
Right.
And there's some dude over there who probably worked his whole life on those ruins, and he's sitting there like, what?
Right.
What? What the hell?
Right.
I can imagine this being just a complete, just uproar.
Right. I mean, like, so it, and if you take this city right here, okay, and you describe it in one language, and it's translated, what are the odds that it could have came out drawn like this?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I could see it. Or vice versa. You know what I mean?
And what if it actually looked like this?
Dude, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Like, you guys out there listening, I don't care. Say what you want about me, but I'm convinced. I'm convinced, and I wasn't the only one who was convinced. You guys want to hear about somebody who was convinced?
Are we going to get spanked by YouTube for saying his name?
I hope not. Remember, YouTube, anybody who fails to heed history is doomed to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another famous guy. You might have heard of him, who loved the idea of Atlantis, and he was convinced that it was real. In fact, he was so convinced that it was real that he spent an ungodly amount of money trying to prove it. And the reason is because he was convinced by a high-ranking guy named, you guys might have heard of this guy too, Himmler. I think it was kind of weird how their names are so similar. Heinrich Himmler. His parents must have been just cruel people. Heinrich Himmler. And the reason is because he believed that Atlantis was the birthplace of a superior, in their words, a superior Aryan race, right? Which, you can tell that they were working with the info they had at the time. And they spent a fortune.
Where were they looking for it to be Aryan? Obviously they're not looking in the
That's what I mean. It's like their info was obviously outdated, or I can't even say outdated. I can say it was just blatantly wrong, or wishful thinking, maybe, that they thought that Atlantis was the birthplace of a superior human being. Okay, which we now realize is ridiculous. Okay, so they start sending expeditions out. Expedition after expedition, and these are crude expeditions. These are professionals and paid very well for what they were doing, because they all believed in it. And for all intents and purposes, the results of what they found don't turn up in history very often. Nobody really knows what they found. The only thing we knew is that they were so convinced, is that a lot of experts believe that it actually helped cost them the war, because of how much resource they were sending to these expeditions. And it wasn't just this. There was 3 things total that the Reich was trying their asses off to get their hands on. One was Atlantis. They wanted to own it. They wanted to discover it and study it and figure out, how to breed a super soldier, right? The other thing was the occult. They were tremendously convinced that they could tap into these dark mysteries and use them to their advantage. And the final thing that they were convinced of was an extraterrestrial influence, some kind of technology from beyond that we didn't understand, and they wanted to own it. But the interesting thing about Atlantis and the Nazis, I think, is that the thing that jumps out to me, okay, I'm not going to give you a whole entire play-by-play of what they did. I just wanted to hammer this point home, okay? You have a Nazi regime, okay? And I think there was a comedian that made a joke. It was actually one of my favorites. It was Norm Macdonald said it, okay? He said, they decided one time, we're going to start a war. We're going to pick a fight. And who did they pick a fight with? The world. Okay? And it took a few years and they lost. Decade or so later, we're going to pick another fight with the world again. And this time it was almost a draw. I'm just saying, they were that convinced this was a military superpower, right? Up until this point, they had made all of the right decisions from a point of view of someone who's trying to accomplish this gigantic military goal. You know, I'm not saying the morality of it. We know the morality of it, you know, before anybody out there gets ideas. We know. But think about that for a second. This was a superpower, and they're still a very successful country today. And they were convinced that there was something here worth looking into, worth throwing an ungodly amount of money at. That is the point I wanted to make. Like, yeah, you guys showed me some fascinating shit here. Enough that I'm sitting here like, I feel convinced. I'm like, dude, this is a weird thing for me. I'm actually, I usually try to stay on the fence, but I'm like, damn, this actually kind of makes sense to me.
How do you think I feel? I'm the fucking skeptic.
Yeah.
You know?
So when I think like I'm just some asshole sitting in Kentucky talking about weird shit with my buddies, this was a military superpowers leader and his entire like crew of advisors and top people, and they were convinced enough to literally risk winning a war. And I mean, you know, they risked it and they lost. They picked, you know, it's what happens when you poke a bigger bear than yourself with a stick, you know. But yeah, that's what I had, guys. I mean, it isn't much, but I wanted to put something in there for perspective. And this was kind of my thing, was if they were that convinced, you got to imagine that there was something that convinced them. They found or discovered something.
We didn't talk about something else that you should be all over too, Denny, just because of your background. The orichalcum.
Yeah.
That was what was written in Plato's writings about the temple to Poseidon in Atlantis, right? Is that it was covered in orichalcum. Now, didn't they discover a shipwreck relatively close to there that had these ingots here?
No.
Of orichalcum?
Yeah. I've been researching this very thing still, and the only reason I didn't bring it up was because I think there's a much bigger connection to something even more out there than just Atlantis. Orichalcum is kind of a fascinating alloy, to say the least.
Right.
The reason I was saying that is because we had something recently. I want to say, was it 5-6 years ago? Passed through our solar system that had a lot of this in it.
Yeah.
And this object did something that was never recorded in science before. And I would like to go into this one in like full detail for everybody, but I would really like to present this as its own standalone episode because there's way too much at stake and it's a very big implication. And now it's being backed, which is a little frightening and kind of exhilarating, I guess. But yeah, so there's some crazy links that something big is on the horizon for all of humankind and hasn't it's not new, it's happened before. So
yep.
it's
And
wild,
for those listening, one of the parts of the alloy or a column is zinc, and that's really interesting, isn't it, Denny?
It is very interesting.
Yeah,
zinc is one of those metals where we as humans weren't very good at working it for a long ass time, and I think I'm confident to say that we probably sacrificed a lot of people learning how to work it.
right.
You know, in itself, zinc's not a very unmalleable alloy. It's very workable. It's very, very manufacturable, but its byproducts are fucking deadly. like, like absolutely deadly. So, you know, yeah, it's pretty wild.
So yeah, but what makes it really incredible is that the zinc is not natural. It has to be manufactured. It doesn't exist in nature. It's a byproduct of metallurgy. And that puts, like, if that's the case they were working with orichalcum on Atlantis, that puts this whole nother spin on civilizations and metallurgy and technology. It changes a lot of history, doesn't it? 9,000 years before Plato.
The thing with zinc is backing up to when you said it wasn't unnatural, is it does occur, but it's trace amounts. It's very trace amounts. The concentrations of zinc are very, very unusual, which we know, like now we know how to manufacture it and make it, and now, but back then they would have had no idea.
Right.
Or at least we assume so. I mean, we know that they were good at copper and bronze. You know what I mean? But zinc is kind of weird. I can't imagine how in the world they would have accidentally figured out zinc. Does that make, you know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, it changes all of metallurgy history.
Yeah.
But then again, like I kept like what I said before in the thing where this place was rich in metals and minerals and stuff. If this was crazy rich in certain different metals and stuff, like could there have been a chance that they actually found like zinc? Like it was just a rare oddity in this area at that time. But then again, like I feel like we would probably find something remnants of that around that area, if it was.
Man. I was actually researching zinc for a minute there because I actually was trying to find my tab that I saved. I've been like saving all these tabs, of information off to the side, and I had to go through and figure out which what. And I was reading about how much zinc occurs in the solar system. Like in meteors, and asteroids and such. It's pretty wild. Turns out the universe is great at making stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, I don't know, guys. The whole Atlantis thing, and then like I said, the other thing, which a little bit of a teaser. I want to take you guys on that ride next episode, but there's a lot of weird parallels. There's a lot of lines that are blurred on this, and I feel like sometimes it's one of them things where time just defeats us a little bit. You got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years of hit and miss. Some of the coincidences, like the stuff you were saying, Josh, the coincidences of it's hard for me to believe that they're coincidences. I'm more skeptic about the coincidences than I am about the fucking Atlantis itself.
The one that has the antipode situation blows me away.
That I never knew that. That's, to me, that's like, dude, what else do we need? Like, how?
The one thing that gets me the most about this whole story and the whole thing about Atlantis is, why hasn't it been written from any other perspective, like from other people, even before? Where did Plato come across this? Did he find somebody that started talking to him about this land? Because it appeared, like, in his writings, it says that it was 9,000 years before Plato.
Yeah.
So where did he get this? Where did it, like, what led him to this conclusion?
Was Plato super into making shit up?
I don't know.
That's
what I was
that would have been my first go-to. Like, was
I
Plato
looked
a
up
fiction
other.
writer, or like,
He, like I said, he was a philosopher. Like, a lot of people kept saying that, like, maybe his depiction of Atlantis was more to teach philosophy.
Yeah, he was philosophizing the existence of a entire city, an advanced civilization hub, trading center that got swallowed up by the ocean. Maybe I'm just not smart enough, but I can't figure on the point of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if he was philosophizing about the existence of the gods, or the non-existence of the gods, and he was using it as an example to say, like, well, hey, it could have been the gods, it could have been a meteor, I don't know, I would still come back to, what's the goddamn point? You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty roundabout way to get to a philosophy, in my opinion. Whereas if you look at some of his other stuff, it's, for all intents and purposes, in philosophy, it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
That one's kind of I just always thought the Atlantean thing was kind of an odd duck in the batch.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like what do you call it? Like, man, like around here, the Beverly Hills Club fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can any of us sit here and draw can we take a pencil and draw what the Beverly Hills building looked like without getting on the internet and looking at it? No.
No.
If we tried to, we might get it kind of close. If we were approached by someone from France and they wanted to hear all about this club, we would have a hard time describing it to them in detail.
Okay, so hold on. There was talks of it before Plato. This map right here, the world according to Herodotus, is 430 BC.
He wrote his in 630.
Right. So Herodotus was before Plato.
Wow. So yeah, there you go. Maybe it's one of those, Hey, I tell you what, you guys remember the old Kmart in Alexandria?
Yeah.
Yeah, the furniture fair now.
Or there you go. That's in Highland Heights. Okay, remember that old building?
Yeah.
Okay, as soon as you walked in and turned to the left, that's where the cigarettes were.
Yeah.
Back left corner of the building was like bicycles and shit.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I have no idea if it's accurate.
I kind of remember it because, yeah, to the left, yeah. I remember to the left was the toy aisle.
Okay, so this was kind of an experiment. I'm not trying to set you up, but you've been to a lot of other stores since then.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't actually remember the layout of that Kmart. I'm guessing.
I didn't
For
even know there was a Kmart there.
Okay. There was a Thriftway in Alexandria.
I remember that one.
Okay. Not many people have ever been to it. I mean,
Thriftway. You talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the one,
Thriftway.
the church?
yeah, where the church is now.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember the
What
Thriftway. And then
What my point is that time defeats us. Things rise and fall. Things change. And the
But-
only people who are gonna remember like that Thriftway or us who were young enough to be dragged there and remember the gigantic M&Ms on the wall. They weren't really M&Ms, but they were just giant brown half spheres stuck to the wall, and I always thought they looked like M&Ms. And that's the only thing I remember about the store.
but
Yeah.
the one thing is like, what do you guys believe? Do you think the Eye of Sahara could be potentially? But other than that, like, what could have caused it to literally have no remnants of any type of civilization? That it just shows like the rings. Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
This
a
right
lot
here,
of shit. Yeah.
that right there. So you see where it says afar,
Yeah,
where it's the dark spot in the middle.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just slightly to the east of that is the Eye of the Sahara.
yeah. I
You
see
see
it.
those huge striations?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like way
There you go. I mean,
water.
if you've got enough water that
But-
could move enough land to create that we can still see it today, then there's nothing that's going to be left of that city.
Yeah.
What about all the other stuff that we find under the sea? Like, there's always remnants of like statues and city
Right.
steps and
That's
stuff
kinda
under the water.
What I was saying is we're discovering that what we thought was kind of a hard cap to cities and civilizations was wrong.
Yeah. There is a debris shelf at the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean, where those striations end. There's a debris shelf that they think it's like 300 to 400 feet deep of debris, and it's 400 foot underwater. So in order to explore 300 foot of debris, 400 foot underwater, we don't have the technology yet. So Atlantis may be buried in that mess right there.
What's left of it. I still am standing by this, is that I don't think there would have been an expert alive at the time. Even the guy who built it probably didn't know that he needed to build it to withstand a cataclysm.
And then you've got something that existed 9,000 years before Plato. Plato was, what do you say, 600 BCE? So we're talking 2,600 years ago of Saharan dust storms, sandstorms.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
2,300 years, yeah.
Yeah, 2,300 years ago. You know?
But I just don't like. I still feel like we would find something, some type of, just something. I just feel like there should be something. Like,
Yeah.
especially being such as like big civilization, with that has so abundance of like resources in this area.
Yeah. See, I think that
Why-
we're looking at that wrong.
What?
I think that's the part that we're getting wrong, is that we're trying to paint Atlantis as a different species of people, a different continent or country. I'm more on board with it was a place where people gathered. So in my opinion, my humble opinion on this, I would say that you would find a mixture of different coins and currencies, not just one like Atlantis coin.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, it was a trading hub.
Yeah, I would think that the search would need to be broadened quite a bit. Like, hey,
That's
if we
a really
find
good
a
point.
spot with like piles of multiple different coins from different peoples, this could be it. This could be Atlantis. You know, that's what I think.
That's kind of like what I'm saying. It's like, if it was a trading hub too, it's like we should find something, but
Yeah.
that would take tearing that
400
apart.
feet of water, and then what'd you say? Or 300 feet of water, 400 feet of debris.
Something along those lines. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo. That's
Yeah,
that's probably
I know.
getting
I
called in
But
on
then-
Saturday for that one.
But you said the debris, like, but why? How can we still see the structure, like the the circles? If it's the
No, he's
like
talking
how
about the
would?
debris shelf in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, you're saying that it was like put and pulling.
like it was.
Okay,
Yeah, it was like
it was
swept. Yeah,
swept.
I mean, think of a. I mean, there is. I mean, an impact. Some kind of impact, a volcanic eruption. I just think that I honestly think that they just weren't equipped at the time to deal with any kind of major disaster. You know, and you think that might sound outrageous, but look at now. You know what I mean? A couple of months back, there was a town down south. They got hit with a tornado. The town is gone. You know what I mean? The town is just gone. Size defeats us. Time defeats us. You know?
It's just like it like really it really gets me because of the depiction of Atlantis being such a big powerhouse and stuff of that nature. Out of just that day, they were literally like they had if it was in that sort of like sense, like they're sitting there, man, this place is great. Like we like look like this land is like we could defend it. It gives us so many resources. We trade. Like it's a utopia in their mind. And
Yeah.
then out of nowhere, this big cataclysm happens and it sweeps it off the face of the earth. It's like that sucks. Like what would be if anything, that was probably like a depiction of your modern society today, like how we trade and we buy, we like we learn from each other, and it was swept away. Like that's what I'm like. What would it have been like if Landis was alive to this day?
Yeah. If it was still going today, I mean, you would be talking. It would be the absolute center of the universe.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like where everything comes together and gets traded.
Or it would be an absolute just dystopia.
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
ruin that we visit.
even not that, maybe taken over by religious terrorists. It would be it could go either way. It's either going to be this amazing place or the worst place you'd ever want to go.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've got nothing else on this subject, guys. It's fascinating. I wish I did, but like I said, the results of whatever the Nazi regime had discovered were never really revealed. So
Right.
someone
so
knows that information out there.
to kind of end this up, like, what do you guys feel like you don't feel like it was like kind of an alien influenced race, higher beings? You just think that it was just your normal, like your like one of the first style of your trading hubs where like hundreds thousands difference of people just came and traded, and it just fell off the face of the earth because of a like a volcano or a storm.
Well,
Uh,
well, whether or not it was influenced by something out of this world,
yeah.
barring that opinion just yet,
Okay.
I think that the most reasonable thing could say, even with or without the idea of an outer world influence, I would say it's more reasonable to me to believe that it was a trading hub at its time. Now after this next thing that I want to bring to you guys here in a couple episodes or the next one or whatever, maybe that opinion will change, but I don't know. Let's see what happens as far as that. I can accept if it was a trading place. I could live with that.
Yeah.
Especially with everything you guys brought to the table on this. Like I'm like fucking mind blown. This is fucking awesome.
I feel like Josh there, he dug a little deeper. I didn't know there was another kind of similar city in what was it, Mexico? I was about to say
Yeah.
New Mexico, but
Definitely brought the tunder.
yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
I just focused on the natural, like the normal facts of what it was. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
I
liked
don't
it.
know.
That was perfect. I mean, like I said, I
Yeah,
only researched the one thing. So it was
yeah,
cool because when Ty was telling me his stuff, I'm getting the backstory, and then Josh comes in and like throws all these like different things of like the positionings of where stuff was, stuff that's in correlation with it. So I'm sitting here like,
ah,
what I mean? Like,
but
holy shit,
I guess my like
very cool.
my end of like picture of it like would. I'm still having a hard time. I guess I want to like take in what you guys are saying about like it being covered in water and being swept away. I want to believe that, but I can't grasp onto it. I'm sorry, like, but
Yeah.
that is
So
my. I don't know if it is or isn't. Uh,
let me try to paint a broader stroke for you. So if these striations, I know I've said that word, but can we get a striation counter? If these striations are indicative of floodwaters, all right, we're talking almost 1,000-mile wide path of water that was probably the wave at the head 500 feet tall.
mhm.
Now, imagine the power that has. Okay, so you take a 50-foot wave that hits a beach and it wipes out the houses. Now, make it a 500-foot tall wave from, like Denny said, a comet or a meteor, something hitting the water, a huge earthquake, or a huge volcano, right? There used to be a giant lake over there by the Eye of the Sahara that doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
You know, the entire portion of North Africa was green and lush at one point in time as well. It's not anymore. So if the water was big enough to take all of the forests, take a whole lake with it, and it was say a thousand or miles wide, not 1,000 feet, 1,000 miles wide, 400-foot tall wall of water, there would be nothing left that wasn't part of bedrock. It's going to take everything with it. You're still muted. There you go.
No, I was just kind of like get myself acclimated to it. I am leaning on that fence, but I still feel like there should be something.
It might be. It might be in the debris
Yeah,
field in the ocean.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to like
Tyler needs a
stay on
submarine.
this. Yeah, I need a submarine, and I gotta see for myself if I could find. A, not even just like how you said there were if it was just a trading hub, a coin or something like a face, like some type of structure, I'd be happy to say like, okay, it was that's what happened. But then I don't know, like there, I
I'm
don't know. I
actually
keep
getting you some comparisons real quick. That's why I'm over here clicking away.
Ooh, comparisons. What do you got there, buddy?
Uh, I'm gonna get you what happens when about 100-foot wave hits a town. If I can get this to work. Let's see here. Hopefully this works. Yep, there we go. Okay. So this was 100-foot wave in Indonesia. Left as before.
Yeah.
Notice the highway.
Yeah.
All right. And then you're going to see on the right that several of the buildings are just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And the highways decided to leave too. And then the beach is a lot closer, which might be handy if you really like going to the beach, but not for the people that live there.
Mhm.
Wow. That compass is gone too.
That was 100-foot wave. All right. So what we're talking about is 1,000-mile wide wave.
Yeah.
So I would say if you need like perspective on how this would be possible, my thought would be to first try to figure out where the highway is and try to find pieces of it. And then like what, some of those little buildings up front there and stuff, some of it looks like, I imagine there had to be cars sitting there at some point too, is to try to find out where they went. And that's one thing with waves is they come in, they hit, and then they drag everything out.
That's if
Waves,
they drag back.
yeah. If they
So
stay
if it was
there,
if the wave, started in the Atlantic and then went up and then pulled everything back with it, that could have made those marks. Or the wave could have started in the Mediterranean and hit the high ground and just was a wall of water.
Much water, the amount of weight, depending on the weight of the water alone would be almost immeasurable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine what 1 gallon weighs.
8 pounds per gallon. And then you put debris in it.
All right. Take 8 pounds of milk jug, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then pick it up and feel it. And it's like, okay, it's not too bad. Now take that same milk jug and run up as hard as you can and throw it at somebody. You've just multiplied its weight probably 10 times. I'm just being generous here. Say 75, 80 pounds of force behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The speed at which it's going, its impact is going to be greater. You know what I mean? So if this wave is that big, then something big caused it, and it's got a lot of energy behind it. And if it's 1,000 miles wide, you could only imagine.
I've got another one here for you.
How much weight was behind that water when it came through, like a nuclear bomb hitting.
Now, this is going to be even more devastating. But this is before and after of the Japanese tsunami.
Okay.
Are you guys ready for this one?
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit.
Now, these buildings were built with modern technologies.
Yeah.
Concrete, steel, better wood. They weren't built with adobe and thatch and tied ropes.
Yeah.
And look at the devastation.
Do we know
sneeze?
Do we know the height of the waves? 130-foot waves. Okay. Answered my own questions.
Yeah.
But
it was a 1,242-mile stretch of Japan's Pacific coast that was impacted.
Yeah.
But I was just about to say, it's like, okay, if we bring back, where is that? Okay, kind of around, like, I see where the Eye of Sahara is. It's right below the little the little stick figure dude, right below him on the top right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it is, compared to the coastline all the way to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I'm saying is, how high would it have to be to actually reach there and do enough actual damage to it? But then on top of it, I looked it up. The Eye of Sahara is about 485 meters above sea level.
Yeah.
So how tall did the wave have to be to get to that point to do anything? That's what I'm saying.
If it's able to get that high up, that tall, that means that there is a significant amount of power behind it.
And we're also assuming that this event, the water came from one direction. Let's keep in mind that you've got water from the Mediterranean Sea back here and the Atlantic on the other side. If sea levels rose that much from a cataclysmic event, the lake is gone. That's another thing. You had an enormous lake that used to be there that doesn't exist anymore,
That's interesting, man. Wow. All right, guys, we're
Okay.
at $1.20 on this
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. Well, I wanted to get his. I feel like since I was the naysayer in this, you guys had to try to get me in on it. But I wanted to hear Gibbs's views before, so we can
Absolutely.
cut this out.
Hell yeah, guys. Well,
Uh,
I'm
Get,
what?
I was wanting to hear Gibbs's view, like the question I asked all of us.
Oh yeah.
What was the question?
Like,
I'm sorry. We've talked about
Yeah,
a
the
lot.
question, like where are you at on Atlantis? What do you think it was? Do you think it was just straight up a hoax? Like it was what do you believe? Do you have the same opinion as Denny does?
So, see, this is a tough one, because there's a lot of evidence that points towards it being there. And then there's a lot of evidence that points that it is just a myth, I don't know. Something happened. Something happened out there. There's multiple writings from different places, and maybe Atlantis had different names to different civilizations. Who knows? I don't know, man. Does it sound like a really neat idea that there was a trading hub where everybody could meet? All these civilizations would come together and be neutral. Sure. That sounds like awesome. But there's also writings that they had problems with the Athenians. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I can go either way on this one. I'm more interested in the idea that something catastrophic happened over there. Like, where did the lakes go? Where did the jungles go? That's the part that's got me interested in. The lines from the floods. That shit drew me in immediately. Like, why does the world look like it does? So I guess that's, the mystery's there. I don't know. I could go either way on it, but I really want it to be true.
Okay.
I think the advantage we have too, man, is that they're just finding more and more shit all the time. So eventually we might have an answer to this one.
Right.
Heck yeah. Well,
yeah, it was fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
I hope you guys out there had fun.
Yeah. Sorry that we were pecking away.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about our keyboard noise.
Yeah.
sorry to offend delicate ears out there. It's a running joke because we finally, after we've been waiting for it, we finally got a crappy review. I know you can't believe it.
I love it.
You can't. I know you're probably
about time.
You're like, no way. How does an unscripted show of friends usually drinking beer and talking about aliens and Bigfoot and conspiracies and shit, how could you possibly get a bad review? Yeah, well, sorry. Somebody had gotten on one of the things and said something along the lines of there's too much keyboard noise and they're just looking at things on the internet and I could do that myself. And you know what, man, I hope you do. And let us know what your show's all, when it's out so we can check it out and hopefully review it for you. Wouldn't that be fun? Get you know what? Get on our side of it. Get on the bullseye. Yeah. All fair. It's all fair and it's fun. And we don't care. We don't care if we get a bad review. Doesn't matter. We're having fun regardless. I hope you guys are too. No more pecking. That was the offending thing right there. But anyway, you guys out there, it's fun.
If that's the worst they've got on us,
I know, man. Like, really, there's all kinds of shit. I mean, I could have thought of 100 things.
We're fucking idiots, So the fact that the keyboard, that's why we're using the keyboards. We're fucking idiots.
We redact more shit than the government disclosure paper.
Right.
We're the dudes that find something. We're like, dude, no way. Bigfoot can go invisible and he's my next door neighbor. And then like 2 weeks later, we're like, turns out he lives 4 houses down. So he's not my next door neighbor.
Same facility.
Redacted. Yeah. You guys out there have fun and you know, it is what it is. Take care of each other. Take care of us. You know? Keep an eye on us.
Mwah.
See you guys.
I couldn't believe he lived 4 houses down. Yeah. I thought he was next.
I thought he was a nice guy too.
Yeah, I mean,
He always
my
rode his
dog kept shitting in my lawn, man.
He stole my newspaper.
his dog man.
Really? Son of a bitch. Yeah, his dog man when he was walking his dog man. Probably shouldn't have said the D word. No Vic, honestly.